Hi guys, and welcome back to this video where we're going to start now using Terraform to provision the EKS cluster. But obviously, in order to have a running cluster in Amazon, we first need to handle all of the networking with a VPC. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to create the file structure essentially, and what that entails then is I'm going to do eks.tf, and I'm going to say vpc.tf. Obviously, in the vpc.tf file, we'll have all of our VPC related code, and then in eks.tf, that's where we'll have our EKS cluster. Then alongside that, I'll create other files like the variables .tf file, and obviously that's going to store the variables, outputs, if we have any outputs that we want to grab from these modules here. I'm going to have the provider.tf. We're not going to have a backend, remote backend, so I'm not going to create that file. We're going to have a locals.tf file, and then we'll do data.tf file. And this is going to be anything that's, data related that we need from AWS. So yeah, let me just close this quickly. So I'm going to start off in the provider file, and what we'll do here is we'll say Terraform, and then we'll say required provider, and then we'll say source, and it'll come from HashiCorp /AWS, and the version we're going to use is 5.0.0, right? And then the next thing we're going to set up is the provider, and we'll say AWS, and the region that we are going to use, I'm going to use AF -south-1, which is the one that's closer to me. And then what I'm going to do here is, let me just do this quickly, override. Cool. I'm then going to come into the data.tf file. And what I want to do here is I want to get all of the availability zones within the region that we've selected. And then I'm going to say available. Okay. And then once we've done that, I think let me take care of the variables as well. Okay, and then we'll jump onto the VPC. So we'll have a variable VPC name, and then I'm just going to call that EKS just to simplify things. And then we're going to have variable region, which will have a default of AF south 1. I'm not gonna have, okay, let me just do tags as well. And then we're gonna have a default. Notice I'm not doing any types for these. I'm just so I'm gonna say config management. I'm gonna say Terraform because we are managing with Terraform. And I'm just gonna say environment. This will be dev, right? Just to simplify things. And then obviously, lastly, we'll have the VPC CIDR, which will have a default of 1.0.0.0/16. Okay, I'm not sure why this is happening, so I'm just gonna say overwrite again. Alright, so we've got our variables. Let's set up the locals. So in locals, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have all of the availability zone names, zones, because I want to extract the names. So I'm going to say slice data dot, and I'm going to say names, and then we'll start from index 0 and we'll end at index 3. With all of that set up now, all I have to then what we're going to start doing then here is start working on the VPC module itself. Sorry. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to do module VPC, okay, and the source for that is going to come from Terraform AWS module /VPC AWS, and then we're going to lock it to a version. Okay. Then I'm going to say name, and then say var VPC name. VPC name. Then for the CIDR, we'll say var.vpc CIDR. Okay, and then for the AZs, what I'm going to do is we're going to dynamically, not dynamically, sorry, but essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the region and then just pass the letter for that's pointing to that specific region. I'm going to do the same here, say B, and then the last one, which will be C. Cool. And then once we're done with the AZs, we're now going to start working with the subnets. Right, so in terms of the subnets, what I'm going to do here is we're going to do those dynamically, so including the private subnets as well. And I'm going to show you what I mean by dynamically. I'm going to set up the subnets as well. Cool. Okay. So essentially what we'll do is we'll do a for, and we'll get the indexes, and then what we'll do is we'll say local dot azs, okay, there it is, azs, and then we'll use the CIDR subnet function. We'll pass it the VPC CIDR. Okay. And then we'll pass it the value 8 and K. Okay. And we'll essentially kind of copy this and bring it to these as well. But here we'll say +4, and then here we'll say plus 8. Cool. And then what I'm going to do then is I'm going to say create database subnet group. I'll say that to true, and say create database route table. I'm going to say true. Then we're going to say enable net gateway. I'm going to say true. And this is quite important because that's what our instances are going to use to break out into the internet. Then we're going to say single net true. Just want a single one. We don't want a lot of them. And then we'll say the default VPC enable DNS hostname, and we'll say that to true. And then default DNS support, and we'll set that to true as well. Then we'll say map public on launch, and then we'll say that to true. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here and come back because now we're going to have to deal with subnet tags, which I think will be kind of evolved, and I might need to explain a few things. But thank you so much for watching this, and obviously watch out for the next video. Thank you so much.